Good evening. Here is the world news from BGI TV, Baba Bagede Imo TV. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. First are the major headlines. NUC orders closure of varsities for elections. Override Supreme Court's judgment, invoke executive order, COs. Naira redesign, Malami, Emefiele are public enemies, or Nanuga. Resident laments as hoodlums invade community. Police ban rallies protest in Kwara State. Kidnappers demand 150 million naira for Cross River Commissioner's release. Woman who lured teenagers into prostitution in Delta, jailed in Anambra. Naira redesign, Kaduna beggars attain informal POS operators. Cholera kills over 1,200 in Malawi, that's coming from the foreign and sports. Nigerian legendary JJ Okocha names Arsenal star who has reached full potential. Now the news in detail. The Regulatory Agency for Universities in Nigeria, the National Universities Commission, has ordered the closure of universities across the country to enable students to participate in the 2023 general elections information report. In a letter addressed to vice chancellors of all universities and directors of inter-university centers, the NUC noted that the directive was based on the directive of the Minister of Education, Adamu. As vice chancellors of all universities and director, chief executive of inter-university centers are quite aware the general elections are being scheduled to hold on Saturday, February 25th, 2023 for the Presidential and National Assembly and Saturday, March 11th, 2023 for gubernatorial and state assembly respectively. In view of the foregoing and concerns expressed concern on security of staff, students and the properties of our respective institutions, the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, has, following extensive consultations with the relevant security agencies, directed that all universities and inter-university centers be shut down and academic activities be suspended between February 22nd and March 14, 2023. To the next story. President Muhammadu Buhari has been given an idea how to overcome the Supreme Court's ruling restraining the CBN and the President Muhammadu Buhari from terminating the use of the old 200 naira, 500 naira, 1000 naira banknotes. The Civil Society Central Coordinating Council, the apex body of all civil society groups in Nigeria, while rejecting the apex court's ruling, said the president should invoke executive order according to a report by Information. The group therefore called on President Buhari to immediately consider issuing executive order to bring into effect the policy terminal date. According to the group, which addressed a press conference in Abuja, the Supreme Court order did not restrain the exercise of the constitutional powers of the president. The council further said that their rejection of the order was because it was an attack on credible elections and called on the Supreme Court not to yield its platform for such election riggers to have access to illicit cash to compromise the election. They also called on the apex court to immediately vacate the order as it was capable of derailing the credibility of the 2023 general election and ultimately truncating our most cherished democracy. Still on the news, the Director of Media of the All Progressive Congress APC Presidential Campaign Council, Bayo Ononuga, has described Abubakar Malami, Attorney General of the Federation AGF, and Godwin Emefiele, Governor of the Central Bank CBN, public enemies. Ononuga stated these in a tweet on Wednesday in relation to a news report claiming Malami said his office has asked the Supreme Court to vacate a suit filed against the deadline for the use of the old Naira notes in the country. The court granted the relief in an ex parte application filed by Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states. The plaintiff argued that since the announcement of the policy, there has been an acute shortage in the supply of new Naira notes in their states. An order of interim injunction restraining the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, or the commercial banks from suspending or determining or ending on February 10, 2023.
As early as 5 o'clock in the morning, most bank customers in Benue State battle to access funds at the automated teller machines. Some of the banks have set a limit for cash withdrawal, a situation that customers frown at.
Today I didn't see money. Yesterday I was here. Even this morning I was here since 4 a.m. So up to now I didn't even know when to withdraw. Although I'm number 133.
With other bank cards, you cannot withdraw more than 1,000. It's 1,000, and they'll be charging you 35 naira. Multiplied by the numbers of times you withdraw, which is too wrong.
So Central Bank of Nigeria is in collaboration with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission to step up surveillance around banks across the state. Their operation is already yielding results.
Every bank branch in Makurdi this morning and since last week is stationed with a team to monitor this disbursement of the money and make sure that there is no, bad practices around it, to ensure that those that are due and require it get the required money. You can see the ATMs working. You can see the OTCs, all of them working during our monitoring exercise.
We have 3 arrests made just last week. We also have some...
Welcome back. Landlord and resident of Oke, Alhaji Idowu Ajani Akinbogun, Benster and Lambert Street in Akowojo, Lagos State, have cried out over incessant attacks by hoodlums dispossessing unsuspecting members of the public of their valuables in the community. It was gathered that the hoodlums had been taking advantage of dark corners in different streets to unleash terror on victims going to and returning from work in the early and late hours. Narrating her ordeal in the hands of the hoodlums, the victim, Omolade Olayemi, said she was on her way home when the hoodlums dispossessed her of her phone and money on Banstead streets. I lost my Samsung phone and 15,000 naira to the robbers. They even threatened to use their knife to mark my face if I did not hand over my bag to them. Since then, I don't leave for my shop as early so that I would not fall into their hands again. Another victim, Karim Akinola, said he closed late from his shop and was on his way home when he saw robbers dispossessing a man of his property. The secretary of Mitutu Community Development Association, Ismail Asumo, described the issue as a major concern for the community, adding that several reports had been made to the police. Contacted the State Police Public Relations Officer, SP Benjamin Udein, warned criminals to desist from their nefarious activities, noting that anyone caught will be made to face the full wrath of the law. The Lagos State Command has zero tolerance for crime, and anyone caught committing any crime would face the wrath of the law. Victims of crime should endeavor to report to the nearest police station for investigation, he concluded. Moving on to Kwara State. Kwara State Command wishes to inform the public of the ban on any form of unlawful protest, rally, or gathering in Kwara State. This order becomes inevitable owing to an intelligence report indicating that hoodlums have perfected plans to hijack any rally or procession and use the process to cause chaos and jeopardize the current fragile peace in the country and, by extension, Kwara State. The Commissioner of Police of Kwara State, CP Paul Odama, PSC, will understand that it is constitutional for citizens to protest peacefully. However, in a situation where such protest or rally could be hijacked, putting the lives and property of the people and government at risk would not be acceptable. This is a temporary ban to evaluate and assess security situation in Kwara State. It is pertinent to also advise political party leaders to warn their supporters to desist from inciting an unguided statement on social, print, and electronic media capable of inflaming crisis and heating of the polity. Moving on to the next story, Cross River States. After 8 days in captivity, kidnappers of the Cross River State Commissioner of Women Affairs, Professor Gertrude Inja, have demanded 150 million naira for a release. This is according to an update shared by the publisher of Cross Rivers Watch, Agbojalingo, on his official Facebook page. The commissioner was abducted within the main avenue at Tamunu area of Calabar South in the early hours of February 1st. The Punch reports that the Cross River State Commissioner of Information and Orientation, Eric Anderson, while announcing the unfortunate incident to journalists, said the police and the Permanent Secretary Special Duties, Dr. Alfred Mboto, had been contacted. He also expressed worry that such an ugly development could take place in the heart of the town. Inja, alongside other commissioners, was sworn in by Governor Ben Ayade recently. From Cross River to Delta State, a 35-year-old woman, Success James, has bagged multiple jail terms for luring 4 teenage girls into prostitution. The Anambra State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Welfare, Mrs. Ife Obinabo, had 2 days to the 2022 Christmas celebration intercepted 4 girls aged between 13 and 15 years in Onitsha who were into prostitution. The girls confessed that a certain Madam Success lured them into prostitution with the promise of a job in a restaurant in Agbo, Delta State. Obinabo had led security operatives to arrest Madam Success, who was also brought to their trial in the Children's Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Court in Oka. The 35-year-old suspect was tried for offenses of child labor, child exploitation, abduction of children, and child stealing. Chief Magistrate Genevieve Osakwe, who delivered judgment on the matter on Wednesday, found Success James guilty of all the above charges. She was sent to Oka Correctional Facility for multiple jail terms, ranging between 1 year and 4 years for all the charges. The Chief Magistrate, however, declared that all the sentences would run concurrently without any option of fine. Moving on to Kaduna State. Destitute in Kaduna who rely on begging for survival say they are being turned into POS operators as a result of prevailing cash squeeze. Explaining their newly found status to a correspondent of a news agency of Nigeria, NAN, the beggars said most people now gave them old notes and demanded for change in return for a reward. The situation is so desperate, especially with most banks allowing the withdrawal of not more than 1,000, 2,000, and POS operators imposing high charges. There are 2 categories of people that patronize us, namely those who pretend to give us alms and those who openly request for favor. The first category will give you either 200 naira or 500 naira old notes, forfeit part of it to you as alms, and request that the change be given back to him in lowest denominations of 100 naira, 50 naira, 20 naira, and 10 naira. The second category will openly request for change in lower denominations and offer you some percentage as reward, narrated one of his deputy, Usman Ali. And to foreign story. The deadliest cholera outbreak in Malawi's history has killed at least 1,210 people, while vaccines remain scarce, the World Health Organization said Thursday. The Southern African nation has been battling its worst cholera outbreak on record, with nearly 37,000 cases reported since March 2022. WHO said in a statement that active transmission was now ongoing in 27 of Malawi's 29 districts, with the country seeing a 143% increase in the number of cases last month compared to December. With a sharp increase of cases seen over last month, fears are that the outbreak will continue to worsen without strong interventions, WHO warned in a statement. But the UN Health Agency pointed out that the crisis in Malawi is occurring against backdrop of surging cholera outbreaks worldwide, which have constrained the availability of vaccines, tests, and treatments. Last story this hour is on sports. Former Bolton Wanderers and Nigeria midfielder Justin J.J. Okocha has identified Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey as the Gunners player who has reached his full potential. Partey joined Arsenal from Atletico Madrid back in 2020 after his £50 million boycott clause was activated by the Premier League club side. The Ghanaian international took part to adapt to the demands of the Premier League and was frequently on the sideline because of injury. This season, Partey has finally started to live up to the hype that made him one of the most sought-after midfielders during his time in Spain, with 2 goals in 17 Premier League appearances, of which he started. Asked if he feels the media and fans underestimate Partey, Okocha told Westfield, "No, I don't think so. He has always been injured, but this season he is finally able to reach his full potential." Before we call it a wrap on the world news, let's have some major headlines. NUC orders the closure of universities for elections. Override Supreme Court judgment, invoke executive orders, CSOs. Naira redesign, Malami, Emefiele are public enemies on Onanuga. And on sports, JJ Okocha names Arsenal player who has reached his full potentials. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is Bdùct Imo TV. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell, select option all to access our broadcast. On Facebook, Bdùct Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. On Instagram, Bdùct Imo _22. For other placements of goods and services, kindly follow the phone number streaming on your screen for advert placements only. For a better Nigeria, Nigerian leaders should learn from other countries. I am Morire Rebila Lawa. Good evening.
Oh, na, na, na. If you want to know what's going on in city, or you want to listen to the latest news and gist, no stress, oh, just tune to BGI TV. BGI TV, you're one in a million.